hey folks, it's Amy from Colorado Mountain Living. You know, it's the height of the summer. It's like super beautiful right now in Colorado. It's like the perfect weather, but this is going to be kind of a bit of a downer of a video. We got some news recently from our local county that they're really hard up for financial stability right now. I think this is a common thread that's going throughout not just local communities, but throughout countries, throughout the world right now with the economy, and it's starting to hit home. I mean, we knew before that when all of this stuff started with the virus that things were going to be shut down, and we knew that there's going to be impacts. But it's been several months now, and we just got news from our county commissioners that they're going to be doing some more permanent closures and reducing the workforce of our local community for municipality and just our local county government. So yesterday, I attended it was a virtual meeting of the county commissioners. It was an open public forum for all of the residents of our county. And it turns out that they've run numbers. And the one thing about our community that makes it unique, one thing about our county, we live in one of the smallest counties in Colorado. And I think our total resident population for the entire county is around 6,000 residents. And I can't remember how many years ago, I'll have to check, but maybe it was 10 to 15 years ago, the casinos came to this county. So that was like a big change in revenue. So we went from being one of the poorest counties to one of the most, I guess you could say, profitable counties with, in reference to the residents and the size. We weren't living here at the time, but the county was able to put together this really fantastic rec center. They built a really beautiful middle school and high school. So we had a lot of extra funds and revenue from the casinos. But as you can imagine, the casinos having been closed for so long, imagine how much revenue that you do not get from that industry. And that's probably the primary industry that's funding our county. We do have just regular stuff that other counties have, like your municipalities. We don't have a lot of industry here as far as businesses. It's a very rural area. So we are really dependent on the casino industry to subsidize a lot of the lifestyle that we're used to. And I believe the statistics were something around 75% of the residents that live here work for the hospitality industry. And that's primarily the casinos. So the Black Hawk Central City area, I don't know exactly how many casinos, maybe a dozen. Think about the restaurants and the hospitality and the hotels and the spas and all of that tourism has declined. And there was some reopening for the casinos. I think they're operating at a 25% capacity. But imagine if you're at a 25% capacity, it's probably 25% of the revenue you're used to running on or generating. And then even of that 25%, it's probably not the same amount as it was before because I think it's only slots right now, slot machines that are running. I don't even think they're doing card tables or anything like that. So there's just a fraction of their operation right now, which is going forward. So think about all of that decrease in the restaurants and all of that, just the general tourism overall. So anyway, that has been a huge impact. And looking forward, I think the county commissioners have decided that, there's not a quick, they've already lost, I think, $3 million just from being closed for the couple of months that they were closed for. So it's hard to figure out how to make that up when you don't have the casinos operating at the full capacity and you don't have that prediction any time in the near future. By looking at how our state's been running it's been very conservative as far as reopening, things have been reopening, unlike some other states that are really, I think, higher in their caseloads for the virus. But right now we're still, I think the governor just barely reclosed the bars. So the bars had opened up at 50%, and now because we had a spike in cases, they're closed back down again. So you can imagine like that's going to be pretty similar for a casino industry. It's not an essential business, right? Like delivery of food or whatever, supplying food. But it's essential to our community for what we count on for revenue. So what we found out from the meeting was that I think out of almost, 250 some odd county job positions, about 1/3 of those are being removed. So the commissioners were trying to figure out how to fix the budget so that we don't go into the red and really sacrifice some of the things that we need to operate as a county, like, say, the school or plowing services or the landfill, or not the landfill, but the recycling center, the trash center. We don't have a lot of things that are in our county. The biggest one is the sheriff and the sheriff's department, the jail. We have a courthouse. So there's some of those things that are pretty essential that you can't really cut. But they figured out a way how to cut things, and it looks like the sheriff's department's going to get a big hit. It looks like the biggest one I think that affects us personally is that our community rec center, which was a site for seniors and for children's programs and camp programs and recreation, and then we had a pool and we had all kinds of different really fun things as a place to go. Looks like there's an indefinite, bordering on permanent closure of that building. It takes about maybe $2 million a year to run that facility. And that includes a lot of either the salaries that go into it and the maintenance. And they just cannot generate the revenue by memberships. It was a pretty affordable membership. It wasn't very expensive. Seniors, it was no charge for them to attend. And they were, so you can think about like it was just a fraction. It was like maybe a 10th or a 20th of the cost to operate the facility was driven by the membership fees. So there just was no way to fund this, really nice rec center that a lot of the community got used to enjoying. I mean, for the past 10 years. I mean, the casino's been around for a long time, and the rec center was built, I want to say it was 10 years ago, maybe 12 or something like that. So people have been used to this. But interestingly, during the meeting, they were talking about the other ways that you might be able to fund a rec center like this. And they were talking about increasing property taxes, because I've mentioned on videos before how inexpensive our property taxes are, probably because it's there might be something to do with the casino, but it's a lot of voter issue kind of thing, where people want to keep their taxes low, so they're not really willing to vote on things that would increase taxes. So I feel like the statistics were out of the 6,000 residents that live in this community, only around 300 or so regularly attend the rec center or have like a membership or paying for the rec center. So it's a huge disparity, and you think that probably if they were to vote on increasing property taxes to fund this rec center, it would not go through. So anyway, it was very disappointing news for us to hear. It was very disappointing news for so many people that are, we're really huge daily patrons of the rec center. We were daily patrons of the rec center. Go every morning, support programs there. I contributed to programs there. I've done nutrition lectures there. So it's just and it's really a community hub of where we saw a lot of our friends. People that we got used to seeing on a daily basis, and we haven't seen them in months since the closure of the rec center back in early March. So it's just been one of those things that's been hard to kind of wrap your head around, that it's been so many months since things have been back to normal, and that it looks like things are not going back to normal. In fact, we don't have any idea of how these cuts to the county are going to be impacting our life going forward. We don't know if that means that the trash center is going to be open fewer days. We don't know if that means we're going to have less plowing services. We don't know if there's going to be impacts to the school, although we don't have children in the school here. But a lot of the, big budgets were cut as far as like capital projects. There's a lot of consolidation of jobs within the county. So, like I said, 79 positions were cut from the county, and I think there's a $1 million cut to the sheriff budget. So it's just so severe here. We don't know, is this going to cause people to move out of the area? How will our community recover from this? So it's just a lot of really hard questions, a lot of things that are, I think a lot of communities are facing right now. And then it's a serious impact to our community as well. Without a lot of programs or events going on, it's hard to imagine, what life in our community is going to be like. We don't have our little county fair. We don't have a lot of the festivals that are going on. A lot of the restaurants are closed. So it's one of those tough things that happens, I suppose, in life. It's hard, it's kind of like my first time living through something like this that really, really shuts down the economic of just the way your daily day-to-day life. And anyway, so I just wanted to give you guys an update of kind of what life is like up in the mountains of Colorado right now. Be interesting to hear, if you're facing similar things in your community. I think the areas that are really dependent on tourism are being hit especially hard. And communities that have a very limited revenue stream are being hit really, really hard. So it's unfortunate, it makes you think about how can you broaden your resources to not be so highly dependent on one particular thing. But that's the way it is. This county probably was before the gaming industry, it was a mining community. So mining was, I think back in the 80s, maybe it sort of wrapped up. The mining kind of stopped back in the 70s and 80s, but that was what it used to be. Back 100 years ago, it was mining. So it's just, interesting to see is how is an area like this going to reinvent itself, and how many years is it going to take to recover? The commissioners were looking at projections going out 7 to 8 years, which seems really extreme. Like, okay, is this really going to keep impacting our economy for 6, 7, 8 years from now? But maybe they're also taking into account like the hit that they've already had. And they had a lot of models on their graph where they were trying to keep us above the line that kept us in the green and not dipping down into the red. Because I think that would be really even more painful. What would happen if we were in the red budget-wise for more than a year? So anyway, a lot of upset people last night in the meeting, a lot of voices in our community trying to come up with ideas. But this is real life right now, and we're all trying to figure out how to adjust to this new reality that we're living in. So anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll keep you posted on things that are happening around our Colorado mountain living. And this is one of the big ones that's affecting us right now. So just thought we'd give you an update on that. But anyways, thanks for tuning in. We'll keep you updated on things around the homestead and some things that are going on for us. So take care. Appreciate you coming. Bye-bye.